Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Doug Bailey and Rose Kuehni? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Douglas Leroy Bailey was born on July 1, 1964, and raised in the state of Illinois. He and his 9 siblings lived in Pekin and Marshall counties. Douglas went by the name Doug. His father operated a mill in the town of Locken. Doug dropped out of high school and worked for his father. One of Doug's closest relationships was with his brother Larry Bailey. However, when Larry was 19, he met a tragic end. Larry suspected that his girlfriend was cheating on him with a man who lived in Locken, so Larry entered the man's home and attacked him. The man retrieved a shotgun and shot Larry twice. Larry did not survive. The man was charged with 3 counts of manslaughter, but the charges were dropped because he acted in self-defense. Doug was devastated by the tragedy and unaware how it foreshadowed his eventual demise. In 1982, the same year Larry was killed, Doug and his family moved to Florida. In 1991, Doug ended up in Iowa and worked as an over-the-road truck driver. He had various romantic adventures, which included having 3 sons and being married from 1993 to 2004. Upset by the end of his marriage, Doug attempted to bring an end to his own life. While living in Iowa, Doug befriended an older couple who lived not far from him. When the husband died, Doug would help the widow with various tasks. The widow's daughter was a woman named Rose Kuehni, who lived in Prescott, Wisconsin. She had been born in February 1971. Rose was an adjunct professor who taught a construction management course at the University of Minnesota. Doug and Rose met in 2009, became romantically involved, and lived together in Prescott, Wisconsin. In 2011, the couple had what family members thought was a wedding, but it turned out to be a commitment ceremony. I guess the couple was making a firm commitment not to be married. Doug continued working as a truck driver, but moved from over the road to local. Many people who knew Doug thought that his relationship with Rose was pretty normal, but there were some problems. Doug reconnected with an old lover of his named Brenda, who lived 6 hours south in Princeton, Illinois. He planned on leaving Rose for Brenda. On November 18, 2015, an image was posted on social media featuring Doug and Brenda kissing. This was alarming to Doug because he wasn't ready for Rose to know about his other lover. Doug told his family members that he would be visiting them in Pekin, Illinois, 2 days before Thanksgiving. He was planning on bringing his new girlfriend Brenda along on this trip. Before moving to the timeline of the crime, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Delete Me. Over the past few years, I've covered a lot of stalking cases which involve a perpetrator easily finding personal information online. When people try to get this information removed, they find it's extremely time-consuming. Fortunately, there is a solution. Delete Me is a subscription service that can eliminate this type of personal information that is for sale online. They have the straightforward mission of removing customers' information from search results and upholding your right to manage and remove your personal information. The privacy experts at Delete Me work continually to remove information from over 750 data brokers. This gets rid of your personal data like address, occupation, marital status, age, names of relatives, and so on. How does it work? Submit your information to Delete Me and their experts remove it. After that, they check every 3 months to make sure any new data gets removed as well. If you want to get your personal information removed from search results on the web, go to joindeleteme.com/Dr. Grande. Delete Me is offering 20% off their privacy plans to all my viewers with code Dr. Grande. Again, that's joindeleteme.com/Dr. Grande, promo code Dr. Grande. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On Tuesday, November 24, 2015, Doug's family members expected him to arrive in Pekin, Illinois, but he never did. Relatives received a text message from Doug's cell phone, which read, quote, "I can't leave my Rose. "I'll be there Thanksgiving," unquote. On Thanksgiving Day, November 26, a post on Doug's Facebook page read, quote, "Can't wait to see all my loving brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. It's going to be fun," unquote. This post didn't appear to be particularly unusual, but a few hours later, there was another post that indicated a different intent. It read, quote, "This is Douglas Leroy Bailey, aka Hillbilly, signing off. It's been a good one, but my days are done," unquote. Concerned about Doug, family members contacted Rose, who told them that she and Doug were driving to Illinois when they had an argument about Doug leaving her for another woman. She dropped Doug off on the side of the road and did not know where he was. On November 30, 4 days after Thanksgiving, Doug's family members reported him missing to the police. Investigators talked to Rose. She repeated the story about dropping Doug off, saying that she left him in the town of Edwards, Illinois, not far from Pekin. Later, she went back to look for him, but couldn't find him, so she drove back to Wisconsin. A search was conducted in Edwards, but there was no sign of Doug. Later, Rose changed her story about where Doug exited the pickup truck. The police checked with Doug's lover, Brenda, wondering if she could have been involved in his disappearance, but her alibi checked out. She was nowhere near Doug when he went missing. The police found surveillance video from November 26, which captured Rose's pickup truck at a truck stop in Iowa. According to Rose's story, at this point in the trip, Doug should have been with her, but the video showed the truck only contained Rose and her dogs. On December 7, 2015, the police paid a visit to Rose at her home in Prescott, Wisconsin. As they were searching the house, Rose indicated to officers that she had no interest in Doug being found and claimed that he mistreated her, which included forcing her to have sex with him. She then said that Doug was going to kill her. Realizing that Rose was getting ready to confess, the police took her to a police station where an interview with her could be recorded. Here is what Rose told investigators. Doug had a long history of mistreating her, including a 3-week period in 2012 when he repeatedly conducted assaults of a sexual nature against her. On November 22, 2015, 4 days before Thanksgiving, Doug made a pact with God. He said that he would give up his life within a year because God had spared his sister from some type of medical episode. Before dying, however, Doug wanted to have some fun and seek revenge against people who wronged him. He decided Rose would be his first victim. Doug told her, quote, "I'm going to start with you and I'm going to finish with you," unquote. He grabbed Rose, demanded sex, and ordered her into the bedroom. Rose wasn't wearing any clothing, so she walked into a closet to retrieve a robe. Doug yelled, "Get the blank in here, blank. I'm coming after you." Instead of grabbing the robe, Rose retrieved a 20-gauge pump-action shotgun from the closet. She pointed the weapon at Doug and fired. Despite being hit in the side, he charged at her. Rose fired the shotgun for a second time, striking Doug in the chest. Doug did not survive. Rose pulled his body downstairs in a sheet, placed it in a cardboard box she had used for storing Christmas wreaths, put the box in a wheelbarrow, and took it to the shed. She also took a box of Doug's belongings to the shed. Due to nightmares involving blood coming out of the ceiling in the bedroom where Rose killed Doug, she repainted the bedroom. To buy time, Rose impersonated Doug on Facebook. She did not know what else to do. She was nervous about being caught. 4 days after the killing, Rose contacted a man named Clarence Michael Hicks and requested his assistance. These two had been having sex for a couple of years. Rose moved the boxes to her truck and drove to Illinois. Again, one of these boxes contained Doug's body. She met with Clarence, who placed the boxes in his pickup truck, drove to Hazard, Kentucky, and dumped the boxes down the side of a mountain. The police interviewed Clarence. He told them where he dumped the boxes, but said he did not know what was in them. The police recovered Doug's body. The autopsy indicated that he had been shot twice, once in his side and once in his back. This was different than Rose's story. Again, she said Doug had been shot in the side and in the chest. On December 11, 2015, Rose was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse. Later, Clarence was arrested and charged with hiding a corpse. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 3 to 7 years in prison. Rose decided to take her case to trial. In August 2016, the jury found Rose guilty of hiding a corpse, but not guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. The jury could not agree on a verdict for second-degree homicide. The state intended to try Rose again for second-degree homicide, but she prevented this by pleading guilty to aggravated battery. Rose was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but the sentence was stayed in lieu of a 10-year probationary term and a year in jail. Rose was released because of time served. The judge said, quote, "Sending her to prison is not going to make her a better person. I'm sure of that," unquote. He believed Rose's behavior was neither justified nor reasonable, but he thought it was the product of a long history of mistreatment. Now moving to my analysis. Rose's defense argued that she had battered woman syndrome and the shooting was in self-defense. The state, of course, disagreed. They argued that Rose was not justified in shooting Doug. This brings me to the question, was Rose guilty of murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that she was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Doug's family members described Doug as a happy-go-lucky family jokester, not someone who was capable of mistreating Rose. Rose claimed that Doug mistreated her horribly during a 3-week period in 2012. People who visited Doug and Rose during those 3 weeks did not see any indication that Rose was injured, and she never said anything about being attacked. Even if Rose was telling the truth, how does that justify her killing Doug in 2015? People have different reaction times when they're acting in self-defense, but 3 years is a little ridiculous. At the time of the murder, Doug was cheating with Brenda, and Rose was cheating with Clarence. This provided Rose with a motive to kill. It also gave Doug a motive to attack her, but Rose never said that Doug was motivated by her cheating. Rather, she told the story about him making a deal with God. Messages between Rose and Clarence showed Rose wanted Doug dead. She talked about ways to take his life without getting caught. Rose claimed that Doug had been shot in the side and chest, but he had actually been shot in the side and back. She went to great lengths to conceal Doug's death, including impersonating Doug and arranging to have his body dumped in a remote location. It seems convenient that Rose claimed self-defense after destroying the evidence of the shooting. Moving to the exculpatory factors, Rose produced photos of herself with bruises on her legs and hips. In theory, Doug could have caused those injuries. The state conceded that Rose had been attacked by Doug in 2012. On one occasion, Doug had punched a man for stealing his girlfriend, so his history of violence involved at least 2 incidents, that one and attacking Rose. When considering all the evidence in this case, do I think that Rose was guilty of murder? Yes, in my opinion, she was guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. I don't know what the jury was thinking here. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Both Rose and Doug were self-centered, impulsive, irresponsible, sensation-seeking, and had a sense of entitlement. They were cheating on each other, and Doug was getting ready to leave. The couple had once looked at the relationship through rose-colored glasses, but now their union was no bed of roses. As far as they were concerned, the bloom was off the rose. Furious at Doug, Rose retrieved a shotgun and killed him. Ironically, Doug died in the same way that his brother died years earlier, being blasted twice with a shotgun. Somehow, Rose managed to convince a jury that Doug's prior mistreatment of her justified the shooting. She was able to use Doug's past mistakes to free her from the consequences of her homicidal behavior. Rose incorrectly referred to the murder she committed as self-defense. The essence of Rose's behavior remains the same, no matter what it is called. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Those are my thoughts in the case of Douglas Bailey and Rose Kuehni. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.